Good morning, everybody, again. So we've got an excellent session by our diamond sponsor, ControlUp. So we've got the next 15 minutes. So we've got Lindell talking about everything new around ControlUp. Remember, if you leave feedback or ask questions, it counts towards your point score, and you can win some stuff at the end of the day. So, Lindell, I'm just going to hand it straight over to you.
Cheers,
Take it away.
Jim. Thanks. Hi, everybody. Hope you're having a good morning so far. There's been some pretty good sessions on this morning. I thought I'd do something a little bit different today. I mean, a lot of you have probably seen ControlUp and what we do with the real-time monitor, monitoring your Citrix environment every 3 seconds and giving you that granularity. But I thought I'd talk about something new that we have with ControlUp at the moment, and that's a product called ScoutBees. So effectively what ScoutBees allowed you to do is monitor your resources externally and have a SaaS solution that's testing the availability of your published resources and also measuring the response times at each phase of the logon process. So we're not just doing a test to make sure or a simple ping. We're actually logging onto the user sessions, launching user sessions, making sure those are available, and then providing historical information so you can go back and check if there were any issues, potentially where those issues are. So we can see here the ScoutBees dashboard, and what we're looking at here is tests over the last 24 hours. So we can see we've got a few tests configured below, launching various resources, and we can basically see the performance of these tests over time. So we can see at 10 p.m., the logon times for these seems to increase a little bit, and it's not the actual logon time of the users, it's from the user clicking the session to that session being available. And really good to be able to go back historically and see the performance. But you can see underneath, we don't just obviously show you the performance over the last 24 hours. We can go back in a lot more granular detail and show you that over a longer time frame. Below here, you can see we've got kind of 4 different tests set up. So this one's connecting to our storefront demo. We've got one connecting to various different resources here. And you can see underneath, we give you the last 10 tests. So these ones are connecting at a 5-minute interval. So every 5 minutes, we're launching that user session, making sure it's available, and then reporting back the metrics here. So we can see, the last 10 sessions at the bottom, all pretty similar time, but we can also see here, information showing us how long was it, the ready time, how long did it take to connect, how long was authentication, etc. And again, if there's any spikes here, similar, as we can with the full ControlUp product, we can actually go back and see that information in real time here. If we drill into any of these specific, tests, we can look at more information. So let's go ahead. In fact, let's go ahead and pick this guy because he's had a couple of failures here. So if we go ahead and pick this GC20 Cloud, we can basically see all the tests that have happened for this single, this single resource. And we can go back and look and see, the last test actually failed, as we can see here. And if we click on the actual metric here, we'll get some metadata about why that failed. So, we can see the GUID, scout name, start time, etc. We can see the resources and the user credentials that we've been using to connect to this resource. At the bottom, we kind of see a tree view showing the connection process. So from my machine to my, my gateway, and we can see that the last hop of that connection is not working. And then underneath, we can see that the actual issue is that we can't enumerate the published resources here. So we're testing all these various different connection stages, and we failed at the second one here. If we go into a session that's actually worked, we can see, 15 minutes or an hour before that, the test worked. And we can see now we see a lot more granular information at the bottom. So obviously the full test completed. We can see it took 48 seconds for this user to log on. If we hover above the various different stages here, so enumeration was 7 seconds, ICA download, etc., we can see where the delay is in each phase of the logon process. And then the last thing that we do when that test is successful is we take a screenshot of the test. So you can see at the top up here, we can actually take a screenshot and show you what is actually shown within that environment to make sure that there's no crashes or no errors within that session. And nicest way we can do that historically, so we can get quite a lot of historical information going back and looking at all the sessions. But it's really easy to see as well when changes have been made in a session. Maybe the authentications increased because we've made a change. So we can go back and look at all the granular information about that as well. We have a couple of options for creating these tests. So if I just show you how we do it here, we actually create a scout, and a scout is effectively where we configure the testing definitions for a published resource. And each scout defines, which published resource to check, which Hive should we check that from, and which gateway, how often should we run that, etc. The hives are basically the location that the checks are running from. So out of the box, you can use cloud hives, and currently we've got a hive in EU and a hive in the US, and there'll be more of these added over time. I know there's going to be one specifically for the UK. But we can also add custom hives as well, which is effectively a piece of software running locally, connecting into Scout Bees, which allows you to perform these checks internally. So, things like storefront checks or any, web interface checks, we're going to struggle to do that remotely through a cloud hive because it's not published externally. So you can effectively configure a hive to run internally and force the checks to run from there. If we configure one of the Clive hives, you can see the different options that we have. So we can connect in through a NetScaler, Citrix Cloud Gateway supported, and recently we've added the Horizon Cloud UAG and the Horizon On-Prem UAGs as well. So regardless of whether your applications are published via Citrix or published via VMware, we can obviously still go ahead and monitor all those resources. And you can see at the bottom various information that we collect. So obviously you'd enter in your gateway, you can enter in your domain name, username, etc. And once you do that, we actually pull back a list of all the resources available and allow you to select which resource you want to run. Obviously, then we go ahead and select how often we want the check to run, so 5 minutes, 15 minutes, etc. And we go ahead and give that a name as well. Once that's done, effectively what you'll see is the test starting to happen. We'll see this created, and we'll see that machine go ahead and the hive start to test that connection and report the historical information. If we have a look at some of the other functionality, so one of the things we can also do is send a daily digest email. So basically we can configure multiple users or a group of users in here to send an email alert to, and effectively what you're going to see is a daily digest and showing us the last 24 hours, any issues that have happened, the overall health of that. We can create custom policies as well. So if we come back into the test here, you can see that we can create custom alert policies here. So based on resources, if the status goes down, and there's lots of different options that you can do here, maybe the VDA fails or the network latency is above a certain value, we can go ahead and email various people or groups to let them know that that's happening. Is there any questions so far, Jim?
No, nothing as yet, so carry on.
Cool. As we said here, this is the custom hives. So custom hives, as we said, we can go ahead and deploy a service to run on a Windows machine locally, and then you can manage all of your custom hives as you can the cloud hives here. So we can see here the number of scouts that are allocated to each hive. So, GDDC20 has currently got two scouts running, and various other information about that as well. We can see the domain, the OS version, the Hive version as well. And then we can also copy the Hive key if we want to make a backup of this and move that to a different server. So looking at some of the other stuff, then we can have a look into some of the other failures. I mean, again, here we can see the scout that this is running from, and we're really able to go historically and see, all of the information about when that session's available, all the information about, how long these different, logons are taken here. In terms of product versions, if I just go ahead and just show you this screen, effectively, there's a couple of versions that are available. So you can see here we've got first a personal version, which is basically one scout, and that's free. So you can go ahead and download that, test that, sign up for a trial and get one free scout with 24-hour history using the cloud hives only. So, if you want to test this out, go ahead and try the personal account, really good. And then the other ones, basically we start to add more scouts and add more functionality. So we start to get, more history. And as we start to get up, we start to increase the granularity of the test. So with the enterprise, you can do 5-minute tests, professional 15-minute, 30-minute, hour, etc. But like I said, you can get the free one, you can get that out of the box, and you can go ahead and test at least one gateway, one application, and make sure that that's running. And I mean, the real thing about this is making sure that, your users, when the users are logging in, the issues of users logging in at 9 o'clock and there being an issue are kind of out of the way because we've been testing every hour. So we know that there's, no issues. And if there are any issues, we can go ahead and email that directly to the Citrix team or the team that needs to be looking at that straight away.
So we've got a few questions actually, Lindell.
Okay.
If do you want to
Yeah.
take them now or?
Yeah, go for it. We've got a couple of minutes.
Excellent. All right. So we got, does a Scout place the same load as a normal users log on onto the live systems? And so there's kind of a couple of questions. So does it place the same load? And then does it wait for all logon processes like group policy to complete before closing the session and logging off?
Yeah, so effectively all we're doing is emulating a single user session. So in terms of resources, it'll be single whatever resources a user logging onto your platform would have, and then at the end we basically take a screenshot of the user session. So we take a quick screenshot before we log off, and then we do a graceful log off so that session disappears. So yeah, basically the same performance as a user logging on, but we pull back all the granular information and show you that historically.
Great stuff. So the next question is, how's it licensed?
License, so I think we just covered that a second ago. So there's a few different options here. Your license per the number of scouts that you run. So you've got different options here. So we've got 4 scouts, 10 scouts, 50 scouts, and then it's more or less down to how long are we holding the data for and the granularity of tests.
Great stuff. A little bit of a cheeky question here, so I don't mind if you dodge it too much. So it seems very similar to Login Enterprise, used to be called Login PI. What's the advantages of Scout Bees over and above that product?
So I'm not an expert in Login Enterprise or Login Pi. I mean, this is basically an extension of, we had a free logon simulator, and we've had a lot of feedback from customers to say, look, we would be really good if we could add this on and kind of monitor this in the single platform. In cost-wise, I've got no idea. You'll have to speak to both of the guys and see. But yeah, I mean, this is effectively an addition to what we already do. ControlUp's already really well known in the market for granular reporting, granular 3 seconds real-time information about what's going on in your Citrix sessions. So this is kind of a natural extension, really, to look at it from the external view as well and give you a little bit more granularity into the performance of user sessions.
So a question that I didn't write, but is certainly very close to my heart, is will you be supporting Windows Virtual Desktop?
I would imagine we will, yes. I mean, originally we only supported Citrix in here, so recently they've added VMware as well. I would imagine it's a case of just gradually adding these in. I mean, it's a very new product. We launched this maybe a month or a month and a half ago, but yeah, I would imagine that Windows Virtual Desktop will be getting added as well.
You got give me a date and a time for that, Lynn?
No, Jim.
No.
No.
There is a last question, which is there a free evaluation available? And I can literally see on the screen now that we've got that personal free service that you can do. So maybe what the questioner is asking, maybe if they wanted to do a time limited evaluation with more scouts, do you think that would be a possible thing?
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, get in touch with us. I think we're going to be available in the community chat for a little bit after the call. So if you want to get on a trial, but if you do a trial here, get free started, then we can get in touch and arrange for maybe a full featured trial.
Excellent stuff. So I think that's the end to all the questions, and I think it's also the end of our time as well. So Lindell, thank you very much for that introduction to Scout Bees. Excellent new product from ControlUp, and I think we're going to hand it back over.
Thanks, guys.